The Democrat Party is cheering over Letitia James and James Comey having their legal cases thrown out of court. But I'll show you today why they are celebrating prematurely, and it is definitely still game on for the Trump DOJ. Listen to what James Comey had to say earlier today.
I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence, and a reflection of what the Department of Justice has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. But I was also inspired by the example of the career people who refused to be part of this travesty. It cost some of them their jobs, which is painful, but it preserved their integrity, which is beyond price. And I know they will serve again. I was very lucky that some of the best lawyers in America stepped forward to represent me. I hope they serve as an example to more and more lawyers, especially at some of the big firms, to participate in protecting our liberty, protecting the rule of law. And my family and friends were always with me, and luckily for me, include some of those great lawyers. This case mattered to me personally, obviously, but it matters most because a message has to be sent that the President of the United States cannot use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. I don't care what your politics are, you have to see that as fundamentally un-American and a threat to the rule of law that keeps all of us free. I know that Donald Trump will probably come after me again, and my attitude is going to be the same. I'm innocent, I am not afraid, and I believe in an independent federal judiciary, the gift from our founders that protects us from a would-be tyrant.
Well, he got one thing right. President Trump is going to go after him. Now, let me go through all this information. Earlier today, a federal judge in South Carolina dismissed indictment against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey, marking a significant procedural setback for the Department of Justice under Attorney General Pam Bondi. The cases weren't thrown out due to flaws in the underlying evidence or legal merit. They fell apart over a technical violation in how the Department of Justice appointed its prosecutor, Lindsey Halligan, a former attorney with no prior experience in federal prosecution. The ruling centered on Halligan's rushed installation as interim U.S. Attorney General for Virginia's Eastern District. Federal law caps such interim roles at 120 days without Senate confirmation or court approval. But Bondi's team bypassed those requirements after Halligan's predecessor stepped aside. Because Halligan handled the grand jury presentation during this unlawful period, the indictments were deemed invalid from the outset. Importantly, the dismissals were issued without prejudice. This is a big deal, allowing the DOJ to refile the charges unchanged once a complaint prosecutor is in place. This keeps this case very much alive. So Trump and the DOJ still have an opportunity to get justice for James Comey betraying the United States of America in order to get Trump for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Now, of course, Democrats wasted no time framing the outcome as a resounding win for justice and Democrats, highlighting the DOJ's apparent overreach and sloppy execution. James described the ruling as a clear rejection of baseless accusations, reaffirming her commitment to state-level accountability. James Comey echoed that sentiment in a social media post, calling the prosecution a mix of overzealousness and error that the court wisely checked. Progressive voices from lawmakers to media commentators seized on it as evidence of institutional fragility in the new administration, proof that even a Republican-led DOJ can't steamroll critics without tripping over its own laws, potentially eroding public trust in federal law enforcement. Now, Trump supporters and DOJ insiders, however, view this as little more than a temporary detour. The White House dismissed the judge's decision as overly technical and announced plans for an expedited appeal, with refiling expected soon under a properly vetted prosecutor. James's charges tied to recent mortgage fraud statement face no major statute of limitation issue, clearly an easy path forward for appeal. For James Comey, those alleged misconduct date to 2020. The 5-year clock has expired, but a federal extension provides up to 6 months post dismissal. So we've got plenty of time in order to get both Letitia James and James Comey. So in essence, this isn't a substantive loss for the Department of Justice. It's a fixable glitch. The core allegations remain untested, the evidence intact, and the department's resolve undimmed. While opponents celebrate a momentary reprieve, the message from legal experts is unanimous. These cases will go forward, and likely with better attorneys with more time to develop a bulletproof case. Now, Sam Antar, someone who's been on my show many times about the Letitia James situation specifically, he had this to say: Judge Walker just dismissed USA versus Letitia James, but not on merit. He ruled Lindsey Halligan's appointment violated the appointment clause. That's it. No vindictive prosecution, no fringe blogger, no Pulte misconduct, no lack of evidence. Dismissed without prejudice. That means the DOJ can re-indict tomorrow once a proper attorney is put in place. Now, here's the problem. You've got Republicans that aren't even fighting for President Trump. You've got Republicans that will likely go along with Democrats under this blue slip rule and make it very difficult for the DOJ to appoint somebody. So it is going to be an uphill climb, but I am confident that we are going to get there. Now, Will Chamberlain over at Article 3, he also weighed in on this. He said, an important white pill, this means good news, regarding Comey. Because the original indictment was timely filed against James Comey, the Department of Justice has a 6-month period to re-indict, even though the statute of limitation would have run by now had Comey never been indicted. So it doesn't even matter. This is just like a small hiccup in something that is going to be consequential down the road. Now, the White House has responded with Carolyn Leavitt coming out and speaking with the press. So let me go ahead and show that to you now, because I think it's very important to hear what the White House has to say.
What's White House response to that, and what can we expect will happen next, Caroline?
Well, what I will say is that everybody knows that James Comey lied to Congress. It's as clear as day. And this judge took an unprecedented action to throw these cases out to shield James Comey and Letitia James from accountability based on a technical ruling. And the administration disagrees with that technical ruling. We believe the attorney in this case, Lindsey Halligan, is not only extremely qualified for this position, but she was in fact legally appointed. And I know the Department of Justice will be appealing this in very short order. So maybe James Comey should pump the brakes on his victory lap.
He should absolutely pump the brakes on his victory lap, because there is definitely more that is going to come out, and I will be here to cover that with you. Now, Attorney General Pam Bondi, just minutes before I went on filming, she came out and said exactly what is going on. Let me show that to you now so you can hear it right from our great Attorney General.
If I could just get your reaction to the James Comey, Letitia James cases being dropped today back in Washington. James Comey put out a video. He said this matters most because a message has to be sent. The President of the United States could not use the Department of Justice to target his political enemies. Your reaction to the cases being dropped into that specific message?
Sure, we'll be taking all available legal action, including an immediate appeal to hold Letitia James and James Comey accountable for their unlawful conduct.
What is your reaction to his statement?
I'm going to keep going on this. I'm not worried about someone who has been charged with a very serious crime. His alleged actions were a betrayal of public trust.
All right. So I'm not afraid, and I'm not worried in the least. We're already in the process of appealing this. So this will go forward. So I hope that helps you guys understand the situation, but also encourages you, because there's a lot more stuff. All right, I have some breaking news that I want to share with you on the other side of this ad. Are you ready to feel great every day? I love kimchi and I take it daily. Since starting, my energy is up, my gut feels healthier, I feel genuinely happy. It's amazing what a balanced microbiome can do. My gut got wrecked after COVID and my brain was foggy. I can tell such a difference after improving my gut health. Kimchi One is packed with 900 strains of beneficial bacteria, more than most probiotics, proven in scientific studies to support overall gut health. According to PubMed, a healthy gut is crucial for your immune system, digestion, mood, and even energy levels. Let me share some of the top reasons I trust Kimchi One. Enhanced digestion, increased energy, immune system support, better nutrient absorption, happier mood, and healthy weight management. Want to experience the same? Follow the link below for 25% off Kimchi One or snap the QR code. Or call my friends at Brightcore right now to get up to 50% off with free shipping. That's right. Call 888-908-4425 for up to 50% off plus free shipping. Your gut and body will thank you. In breaking news, President Donald Trump signed an executive order initiating the process to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a foreign terrorist organization, directing Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent to evaluate chapters in countries like Egypt, Lebanon, and Jordan for sanctions within the next 45 days. Trump described the move as a decisive step against Islamist extremists, citing the group's link to terrorism, including Hamas and its effort to destabilize U.S. allies. This fulfills a long-standing Republican goal with bipartisan congressional support from figures like Senator Ted Cruz, who highlighted the Brotherhood's role in global instability. Now, the Brotherhood was started in Egypt in 1928 as an Islamist revivalist movement. The Brotherhood has inspired violence despite claims of peaceful political aims. Trump's sanctions align the U.S. with major regional powers. Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and Saudi Arabia have already said that this is a threat to global stability, and Bahrain has also joined in, labeling them as a terrorist organization. So now they're going to block them, go after their money, and if they have any interactions with the United States or the military, it will definitely be game on. All right, now the media and left-leaning pollsters would have you believe President Trump is floundering. Yes, he's had a few missteps, but overall, the MAGA base has him at a higher approval rating than George Bush or Barack Obama at this exact same time. Now, he's got a lot to do. I'm hearing that there could be some shakeup starting after the Christmas holiday, and maybe that's the right move. But listen to what they had to say over CNN about how popular President Trump remains with the MAGA base.
So is the president losing Republicans?
No. Look, this is still Donald Trump's Republican Party, and we can see it here. It's like a rock, to quote Bob Seger. I mean, take a look here. Republicans who approve of Trump. 6 months ago, it was 87%. Now, well, hello, it's the same number. It's 87%. He has not lost any support among Republicans compared to 6 months ago. As I said at the beginning, he's like a rock. He's like a rock. The Republican base is sticking by Donald Trump at this point in time.
It really is interesting to watch his overall approval rating go down, 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 but see this be completely constant here.
It is among independents. It is not among Republicans.
Okay, so how does this compare to past presidents in a second term?
Yeah, okay. I think this gives the game away, right? Which is Donald Trump, if you look at 21st century presidents' own party approval at this point in term two, who leads the pack? It's Donald John Trump. 87% of Republicans approve of Donald John Trump. You go back to 2013, 78% of Democrats supported Barack Obama, and it was 78% of Republicans who supported George W. Bush back in 2005 at this point. So Donald Trump has the biggest highest own party approval of any president who served their entire second term in the 21st century.
You could look at this one of two ways. You could say, obviously, he's doing way better than past presidents, or you could say, there is still room to settle. If there is a reversion to the mean here, if that does fall further, that could chip into his overall approval rating. Okay, Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning from Congress in January. One of the concerns is that Donald Trump backed someone in a primary against her. How has Donald Trump done in his congressional endorsements?
You know, when you go up against Donald Trump, you're going up against a buzzsaw, because Donald Trump's endorsement record is, it's hard to find anyone else who beats it. Times Trump endorsees won GOP primaries. In 2020, it was 98%. 2022, it was 95%. In 2024, it was 96%. And I will note, the majority of times that Donald Trump backed a challenger to an incumbent like Marjorie Taylor Greene, that challenger won a majority of the time. The bottom line is this: there was a real reason why Marjorie Taylor Greene decided, you know what, it's not worth the fight, because more times than not, when you go up against Donald Trump in a Republican primary, you lose.
Not just more times than not, almost all times.
Almost all of the times, yeah.
Based on these. All right, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's saying she's not going to run for president, but there are other questions, which is, hey, is she going to stay a Republican even? What do the markets think about that?
All right, so we go to the prediction markets here, and the chance to leave the Republican Party by January 1st of 2027. You can see it, 31%. I think this is a pretty good baseline, which is more likely than not Marjorie Taylor Greene will stay within the Republican ranks, but there's actually a pretty decent chance that she doesn't. And then that becomes really interesting to see what she has to say about Republicans and Donald Trump in particular if she decides to wave adios amigos.
All right. Well, she's already announced she's not running for president, and she's not going to endorse anybody in Georgia. So she just wants to be done. She's moving on. My prediction is that she remains a conservative, a Republican, and we see more from her in the future. Now, President Trump plans to roll out a new health care proposal in the next 2 weeks aimed at addressing the Obamacare subsidies that are set to expire at the end of the year. These enhanced subsidies added under Biden, they were snuck in a COVID relief package, currently help around 22 million Americans have more affordable health insurance. However, new data out shows that everybody is paying more for medical and insurance because the government got involved. Now, Democrats refused to pass a government funding bill, having the government closed for 43 days. In response to allowing the government to reopen, Republicans promised that mid-December they would vote or put forward a plan on how to help the American people, while at the same time addressing a real solution for Obamacare. Now, Trump's plan is expected to include short-term subsidies to get us through, bringing back income caps of 400% of federal poverty levels, requiring everyone to pay something, nobody gets free health care, and redirecting some federal support into health savings accounts that can be used towards medical costs. Their framework draws from GOP ideas proposed by Rick Scott, Bill Cassidy, and the Paragon Health Institute, and it includes expanding non-ACA plans and codifying a most favored nations drug plan to keep prescription drug costs low. However, Democrats have little incentive to work with the president on solving the Obamacare crisis. First, it makes them look bad because they created Obamacare and they made health insurance and medical costs more expensive for everyone. Second, they are raising money off of blaming Trump and using the media to villainize Trump as they try to take back the House and the Senate in 2026. And third, they know that a decent percentage of Obamacare is actually in red states, in more rural areas where there's not as much money or job opportunities, and they need assistance on the high cost of health insurance. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated on what's going to happen with Obamacare and the president moving forward. All right, that's my update for today. Let me know, what do you think is going to happen with Letitia James and James Comey? Comey is definitely going to say, this passed the statute of limitations, to which they will say, nuh-uh, we've got 6 months legally. Now we just need a good federal prosecutor. And Letitia James, as Sam Antar said, there's nothing other than a technicality, and she will be going to jail. All right, I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I'll see you on the next one.